So when we talk about the black sheep of the family, microphone check 1 2, everything is okay. There we go. When we talk about the black sheep of the family, we're talking about an individual that has had the most horrible experiences in the unit. Excuse me. That is the individual who suffers the most trauma in the family. Now, sometimes I talk about chosen ones, and some people kind of think that being chosen is a walk in the park, okay? You just wake up and you're chosen. You know, everybody wants to be chosen. This whole thing sounds like it's too easy, too nice, and, it's a privilege, which it is. It is a blessing to be chosen. But there is there's a price that comes along being a chosen one, okay? Now, in a dysfunctional family system, there is, you are dealing with a family, a system that has got so many generations of trauma. First of all, why are they talking about a dysfunctional family system? Dysfunctional family matrix. In that family, there is dysfunctional, destructive patterns. We're talking about sometimes deaths that are happening in those families, unknown, untimely deaths. We are also talking about some families which have been dealing with generational narcissism. I've told you guys narcissism is generational in most families. We are talking about families that are struggling with drunkenness. Okay, there is a lot of individuals in that unit that are hit with alcoholism. Sometimes it can be drugs. Sometimes we're talking about generations, families that are dealing with people who can't actually get married. They can get married and then they go out there. They are going to stay in that marriage for 2 weeks. Some of them have been married for 3 months. Before the husband realizes that they're up to no good, they're useless, and they're actually terminating the marriage and sending them back home. And the list can go on and on, okay, and so on and so forth. Now, in that unit, we have a member of the family called the black sheep. The black sheep problems will usually start at a very young age. You may notice that your life is pretty much not moving like the same way that like other family members, okay? So your routine is different. Your routine is only isolation. Your routine is suffering. Your routine is neglect. Your routine is rejection, the scapegoating, and all those things that follow for being a black sheep of the family. So it's not really a walk in the park, like many people think. And as the time goes on, a black sheep kind of finds ways they can survive in the unit, because they are thinking that something wrong with their dad. There's a way their father talks to them. There's a way their mother talks to them. There's a way they are being treated in the unit compared to other family members. They are kind of believing that there's something wrong. Maybe they cannot figure it out yet, but they feel that there's something wrong in the whole entire family matrix. Now, basically, as other members of the family are struggling with their own problems, the black sheep is walking in to bring balance. How does a black sheep or a scapegoat bring balance in the unit? You see, when you see people going through stuff, and then for some mysterious reason, those people tend to project their negativity towards you. Okay, they have got their own inner turmoil or problems or personal problems they are facing. And then for some reason, they do not want to face their own shadows. So they need a trash can. Because they are seeing this quiet guy or quiet girl or boy, beautiful soul who doesn't really much like any trouble. And now they are thinking that actually when we do project these things onto that person, they can now get away with shame. Okay, they don't have to deal with them because there's somebody else to deal with their own problems. And that is how a black sheep brings harmony in the dysfunctional family matrix. But as the time goes on, the black sheep is accumulating a lot of negative energy. So they are kind of like, they have got their own problems to deal with in the first place. But now they're starting to realize that they are also having to deal with other family members' problems on top of their own. Now, this kind of trauma becomes very intense to an extent whereby you can see sometimes a person comes home, they are drunk. Like a lot of you guys who have been having drunk, these alcoholic parents, father or mother, even sometimes alcoholic siblings, or even some druggies, like I've said. Now these people are coming home and they have already intoxicated themselves with alcohol or sometimes with drugs. But at the same time, they're like, there's nothing to worry about. There is so and so at home. So they come back at home, and because they don't understand why are they alcoholics, or they don't understand why are they drug addicts. So what they do now, they find a scapegoat where they can dump all that energy. And now you're there sitting at home, you didn't do anything wrong. You have got these drunk people walking in the house, drunk parents walking in the house, returning home, and all of a sudden they find something to pick on you. Okay, they can pick on you for anything. And now you're finding yourself dealing with some energy. You're dealing with some stuff. You're thinking that, what do I have to do with their drunkenness? What do you have to do with their alcoholism? What do you have to do with their behaviors? You don't understand why are they all of a sudden picking on you. What is really happening is that the black sheep of the family is the cycle breaker. Now, even if you don't know that spiritually, there is cycles that you are here to break. You are there to break. And as a cycle breaker, it becomes very uncomfortable for people around you because they feel like they are seeing themselves doing some things that you cannot do. They are drunkards, you're not. They are alcoholics or they are druggies, you're not. There is things that are happening. Maybe I could even say something as such as they could have like family members who never got married, okay? They never had a chance to get married. Need to make sure that I don't cover the microphone. So they don't get married. And somewhere along the journey, you're the one that got a partner, this partner is loving. Maybe sometimes they even want to marry you. Even sometimes you could get married. And that causes a very big chaos in the family because they're now thinking that, why him or why her? Why not them? Why him, why her, why not them? That kind of stuff happens a lot in a dysfunctional family matrix. Now, as the time goes on, black sheep, what happens is that because the projection is very intensive, the blaming is so intense in the unit where you are usually having to deal with other people's problems. You have got your own, but now you have to deal with other people's problems as well. What happens is that now, because they are dumping a lot of that energy towards you, you are now going to become a part of that energy. So that's why you see a lot of black sheep now. They are turning into addicts. It can be anything. It can be alcoholism, sex addiction, porn. It can be drunkenness. It can be anything, any form of addiction. They now start to develop very, very strong addictions. Now, let's not forget that other family members, yes, also they do struggle with those addictions. But at some point in time, as the time progresses, you're going to realize that those addictions are hitting you the most. For some mysterious reason, you are being hit the most with those addictions. And those things are going to carry on and it's going to become extremely intensive. On top of the abuse, you're also going to suffer whatever it is those family members are suffering. But for you, it's going to be worse. That is because these things that you're trying to break, they don't want to be broken. Okay? Now, you being a cycle breaker, there is some, the enemy already knows that you're trying to break some cycles. And because you're a cycle breaker in the family, you're the one who is going to say no, you're the one who is going to put an end to that BS. So the enemy is going to attack you in every way possible. And it is going to attack you through your own family members. So they are going to really, really target you. I've told you guys that you guys are the targeted individuals. So that's where the targeting starts, because you're a cycle breaker and there is entities and enemies who don't want you to break those cycles. They want those cycles to repeat. Okay? It is energy for them. It is fuel for them. The more destruction they cause a family, the more energy they get. That's how this whole thing works. Now, as a cycle breaker, like I've said, you start getting this energy that is being projected towards you. All of a sudden, a person who never liked alcohol, you had nothing to do with alcohol, you're becoming a drunkard. Maybe sometimes you had family members who was prostitutes. Now you're starting to embody this energy. You're also stepping into prostitution. It's why I've done some videos and I've told you, sometimes be very careful. Some of those chosen ones you see working in those strip houses and stuff like that, those guys are God's chosen people, okay? There is something that has happened and has made them do those kind of things. They don't really have to be there, but they're going through some very difficult and serious lessons. So all this trauma that has been inflicted on those families for generations, that the ancestors was never able to heal, normally as a black sheep of the family, you will usually embody that energy, okay? And it is really, really going to affect you. So most of the times, one of the things you realize as a black sheep of the family, the moment you snap and you have awakened, one of the things you're going to realize is that you have been dealing with a lot of trauma. You are realizing that there's so much you have got to heal. And that trauma is being projected towards you for a reason. You need to understand the cycles that you're trying to break before you are actually able to break them. Let me repeat this for you one more time. Do not ask yourself a question as to why all of a sudden you're starting to become a smoker, a druggie, an alcoholic, a sex addict, and things like that. That is because those particular traumas that you came to break, those traumas are going to be projected inside of you so that you can be able to understand them clearly. Now, when you have finally understood what it is going on, you're going to be triggered to wake up. Now, the moment you're triggered to wake up, the very first thing that is going to be brought to your attention is the trauma and the energy you have been dealing with. So that is when now you start to go inside of you and do the inner work, because now you're realizing that there is things you have to break. And can I also surprise you that the moment you take that decision to detach, eliminate yourself from a toxic family matrix, that is when everybody is going to turn against you. The very first thing you realize as a cycle breaker is that everybody in the system is going to turn against you. And there's a reason for that. Because as you're healing, you're going to bring that trauma out to the surface. Now remember, that is something that has been hidden for ages. Nobody has ever talked about those things. They've been hidden behind the scenes. It was happening, but nobody wanted to talk about them. Now you as a black sheep, you are going to start releasing that trauma out to the surface. There may be different healing methods you may use. You may be involved in different healing practices, because black sheeps are also people that can heal themselves. Okay, when you come to this sense of awakening, you will also realize that you are an individual who can actually heal themselves. And what you're really going to see is that the trauma is, along your healing journey, that trauma is starting to be released. But it's like being released from within you, okay? So it's like I could say like you're a mirror. And now, these other members who are in the unit, they're looking at you doing this work. And whenever you're doing the work to heal yourself, you're now forcing them to look at their own lives. You're now forcing them to introspect and go within. And that is not something they can do, okay? It is not something, they're really struggling with it, because you're forcing them. Okay, so when you are part of the system, you are participating in that BS. But you see now, you have started doing the work. And now you're like a reflection. You're mirroring this energy outside of outwards, from inside outwards, so that it can be released back into the universe to be healed. That is where the resentment starts, because now everybody is going to think you are the problem maker, you are the trouble causer, you are the crazy, insane one. Everybody's now going to start the turmoil. You will feel the turmoil when you're doing this. So for all of you guys who are the black sheep of the family, you need to be prepared and ready for this. It is something you are going to see. When it happens, just know that you're doing the right thing. The trauma has got to be released. As a cycle breaker, you are releasing that trauma, okay? It is manifesting through you outwards, so it can be released. But you see, when you're doing that work now, you're a reflection of what has been happening inside of the unit. And now all the other family members are being forced to look inside of them, to look within, so that they can understand what the real problem is and something that needs to be healed. So for you to understand that you're the black sheep of the family is when you have been the first individual to wake up, okay? You have received this awakening. It has happened. The awakening happens for you. You have received this awakening, and now you're realizing how deep the trauma has been in your own family system. Not only are you recognizing that trauma, but you're also working on releasing and healing that trauma, because it is going to heal through you, okay? You're trying to make sure that you do the work in this lifetime. That's what you signed up for. So the oncoming generations do not have to deal with that crap, okay? So the healing is starting with you. So that's why the healing of the black sheep is the most intensive experience you can ever think about. The healing of the black sheep is very intense. That's the reason as to why you are healing a lot of trauma within the entire family dynamic. So I'm sure and I'm hoping that this video resonates with you. Don't ask yourself questions if you see things turning upside down for you. You just have to know you're the cycle breaker. And that is the life you signed up for. Things are supposed to happen like that because you have got work to do, okay? So drop us a comment, guys. Like the page, share, and subscribe. You guys know I do love and appreciate your support. Please book a session if you want to. You may donate or support my channel if you want to. Everything you need, you will find it in the description below. And until then, I'll catch you guys in my next one. There's almost signing out. Much love and blessings. Peace.